Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
And if you ever thought that alcoholism was not a progressive illness, nor that recovery was progressive also, listen to my friend Clancy.
Clancy alcoholic. My daughter just looked at me and she goes, "There's another hour of this?" I said, "Yes, but it's all daddy, so it'll be fun." I brought my daughter. There's Megan right there. She loves that when I do that. And I'll go back. I wasn't born in El Segundo. I was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. All right. All right. It just like Schlitz, it might have made Milwaukee famous, but it made a loser out of me. And actually, we lived in a small town named Fond du Lac outside of Milwaukee. We have some people. It's good. Usually they're like, "What? Fond du Lac, Wisconsin?" It's really the boonies, the podunk place. But my father, Seamus Patrick O'Hara, had a job at WOKY in Milwaukee, was a radio announcer, top 40 DJ, and he was so good at his job, they transferred him to San Francisco, and he brought us all out here, and that's how we got started. I was like 2 or 3 years old, and raised in California. And a wild family with those Irish. They might have just well stamped alcoholic on my head when I came out. Clancy Patrick O'Hara, alcoholic, doomed, loser, future. This kid's gonna drink a lot. But you know, who knows, you know. Saddled, I got saddled with that name, and it's kind of been fun in AA too, because there's some other guy, no one ever heard of him, but I get kidded a lot about that name, but no one ever takes me seriously. I swear I'm the Rodney. They're like, "Clancy, you're not that Clancy." People, I meet them at conventions, and they start raving about me. They go, "Oh, I've heard your tapes," and "Oh, the Pacific," and then I go, I don't think I'm that guy that you think about, and they just turn and walk away. And I'm left there going, "Well, I'm really nice though, and I'm sober 15 years, and they don't care." So I'll never have my own cult. I'll never be a circuit speaker. I'll never, they'll go, "That guy says he's Clancy, but he's not Clancy." So I'm just like one of the humble fellows, members like you. I don't have my own group, but I'm trying. And Jay showed me, Jay and I went to Boise, Idaho, and we had a great weekend together. We opened a service convention. We were the speakers at a service. I was opening night. A couple months ago, Jay opens the directory of speakers in AA and their tapes. And there's lines and lines. Clancy I, Clancy I, Clancy I, Clancy I, Clancy I, like rows and rows and rows. Underneath one little tape, Clancy O. I was like, yeah, I'm going to be a star, man. All right, that, you know, you got to start somewhere. But thank you for that, Jay. It was wonderful. We had a really good time. And I went, and people were in the hallways and the buzz. Like, we just got off the airplane, had dinner, walking up and down the hallways of the hotel. I could hear people going, "Clancy's the speaker." Like, all excited in Boise, Idaho. They're getting Clancy from Los Angeles, right? And they were really excited. So I went into shock, and I went in my room and prayed, and I gave them a good pitch, and we had a good time. You know, they got bargain basement Clancy, but it's Boise, Idaho. You know, and I was raised in a wild alcoholic environment, Irish Catholic people, They're like Italians and Mexicans and all that other, they drink a lot. And it was kind of that, if you read a lot, kind of that John Updike, John Cheever, kind of middle-class suburban martini, constant cocktail hour, leopard skin prints, everything, that kind of weird, really wild bohemian, kind of bourgeois bohemian, kind of faux bohemian. I grew up in that kind of atmosphere. It was wild. There was people falling asleep on the couch in various states of undress all the time. It was an interesting place to live, but it was hard for a kid because there'd be embarrassing things. You walk in the bathroom and there'd be like the Titanic was there because drunks missed the toilet, and it was always, heart-wrenching, and to watch your parents get drunk, I can remember that. And you could close the book on me right now and just say, that's it, because this little girl's never seen me drunk because of the Fellowship of AA. And that's it. That's all I need. I don't need to be any big star. That's like you with your little girl, just moved me so much. And that's it. That's money, I've had a lot of wonderful things happen. That's as good as it gets, because I just surrendered to this fellowship a long time ago. And I had a huge accident on a St. Patrick's Day in Solana Beach, a head-on collision, and I think the old Clancy died. It was about 17 years ago in that collision. It was a white rabbit. I always thought about Alice in Wonderland and the white rabbit, The rabbit looked like an accordion after I got out of jail the next morning. It looked like no one in that car could have survived. But I did, and it was a whole weekend in jail. And that was the first path to AA for me. The judge sent me to 2 AA meetings a week forever, and some weekend jail, but it didn't take the first time. I had to go out and experiment. I used to go to the AA dances. I did everything wrong the first time around. I'd kind of hang around outside the AA meetings, and I never asked for a sponsor, and I didn't want anybody to know me, and I thought, what is this corny stuff? I'm too smart for this one day at a time stuff. And I think I went to Birch in Hawthorne and saw the little lighted frame pictures on the wall and thought, man, I am just too cool for this. And so I went and drank some more, and then nothing really horrendous happened. I just lost my soul, and I was able to surrender and come back to AA. Because I've seen people who have everything in the world. I read about them in the paper all the time. Rock stars, and Robert Downey Jr. spending a long time in jail because he can't stop using heroin, and Kurt Cobain, wonderful rock star and talented artist who'd have everything he wants in the world, money, fame, everything he would need unloaded, because he used his soul away, and there's nothing left. So I know it's an inside job. I know it comes from inside, because I feel good. I live a spiritual life. Jay always is reminding me, we must lead a spiritual life. It says that in the book. I have no choice, and to find God. And it's been a really good life. I don't talk much about my drunk a lot because I was just pathetic. I was one of those guys who would drink and jump up on top of the pool table and think I was Conan the Barbarian, and then a bunch of bikers would kick my ass, and I'd wake up in the alley I wore big thick glasses, my glasses twisted off and covered with stains, and never knew where they came from, and just a little blood here, a little, covered with stuff, and just my wallet missing, and I was no big hero. I was one of these pathetic drunks who sat on the bar stool and told you about I was going to be a writer, and I was going to be a rock star, and I was going to travel the world, and I was going to do this, and I was going to do all these wonderful things, but nothing happened except I got drunk, and I got my ass kicked, and I went to jail, and just demeaning, awful, horrible things happened to me. And so that was it. It was pathetic. I was one of these drunks. My brother died at a very young age, and I thought he was the biggest, toughest Irish guy on the planet. Tony had a long mane of red hair, and I always thought he was like Conan the Barbarian. I thought he was just that kind of tough guy. He was. There was no fear in my brother. He had these bright green eyes, and he wasn't afraid of any man. He's one of these barroom Irish fighters. Tough guy. He was the toughest man I ever met, but he died of a drug and alcohol overdose. That's who won. That's who beat my big, strong Irish brother. 26 years old, crashed on the couch, blue in the morning, left behind a little boy, Sean Patrick O'Hara, 5 years old. And the biggest tragedy of my life. And over that, I was trying to kill myself because I felt sorry for myself. And I know my brother looks down at me now, and his spirit lives in me. We call him Ramrod because he was so tough. And I call him up all the time when I don't want to be afraid. I'm his little brother, and he would be so proud of me now that his little brother has this little girl, you know, and that I don't drink one day at a time no matter what. He would just love it. He would just love you, man. Some wonderful things have happened to me. So I came to AA after all that, and I asked for a sponsor, Eric Bloor. If you've ever seen the old Top Hat movies, his father was in all the movies. Eric Bloor and Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers, Fred Astaire movies, looks exactly like his dad. And he just told me, he said, "You're willing to go to a meeting every day?" And I said yes. I said, what is this guy thinking? One of these every day for a year? And he said, for a year. He told me every day for a year, that was his prerequisite to sponsor a guy. And saved my life. That saved my life. Still saves my life to this day with 15 years of sobriety. That I did that my first year. Guys like Jay did that. The people that I see do that, go heavy the first year, go every day, seem to make it. I don't care what you do. I'm just trying to tell you what I did, what I've seen from this perspective on what works. 90 and 90 I don't know about. 365 and 365 seems to work. You know, alcoholics are undisciplined people. We just go wild out there. You know, I had no discipline. Maggie and Seamus didn't care what I did. I'd stay up till 4 a.m. watching monster movies till dawn. I'd go to school, have a Twinkie, a Pepsi was, you know, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I had alcoholic parents. We did what we wanted. I had no discipline. I got to AA, they said, a meeting a day. And that was the start. That's the start, because I know from home, I'm not going to work the steps at home with the video cassette remote in my hand and the Domino's pizza sitting on the couch. I'm not going to go, gee, I should stop watching these movies and just crack open that book and start working those steps. I'm not that kind of guy, you know. I'm going to just NFL. She's seen me. NFL movie, and you know, then a little rope of drool starts coming down. I'm like, well, I'm bringing home stacks of movies from Blockbuster, and you know, I'm not gonna just like, yeah, I feel like working the steps unless I come here. Unless I come here and you guys tell me, you know, Clancy, you know, you look a little, are you working those steps? And guys ask me to sponsor them. And they insist on me working the steps with them. And they, annoying fellows, isn't there something better we could do? We could just go to the, you know, Starbucks and hang out and talk, but they make me work the steps, thank God. And I see, and I'm one of these people who have grown into AA, who, as time goes by, believe in it more and more. And I see from this perspective what a wonderful thing it's done for me. It's given me a fellowship to share my life with people and to give me that one day at a time perspective on life. You see, I lost a friend last year with Jay, Patrick Keelahan, another Irish character. I think he was from this area. And he taught me a lot about how to live and sober and how to die sober. And he gave me a different perspective on life. You know, he grabbed me a few months before he died, a couple months, I was speaking in Torrance, and he grabbed me outside the meeting and he goes, enjoy every day. That's all you got. All we got is today. Because he was dying and he was crying in my arms. And he says, you know, if you're not grateful, you should be ashamed. You know, he had a little son my daughter's age, you know, and I don't get that if I don't go to meetings. If I go to the Bally's gym or if I go with her or whatever, because I see so many new guys come in and we clean up well, you know, we look good. And all of a sudden they got this girlfriend or they're marathon running and they're looking good. And they go, I didn't need this AA crap. I just needed the gym. I feel good now. Or I just needed the church. Or I just needed her. Or I got this internet stock now, or this job, or this thing. The material world is an illusion. It's all going to go away. This is all we have. And this is all we have is the Spirit. We live in the fellowship of the Spirit here. So when it gets good, don't go away, you know, because I've seen that happen to more people than when it's bad. You know, I see them in the gym and I see them in the grocery store and they look at me funny and they go, you still go to those meetings? They go, I can't stand those meetings. And I go, do you think I can always stand those meetings? It's not always supposed to be fun. Good things are hard work sometimes. I feel better when I go to a meeting. I don't always want to go, and sometimes it's just hard work. Sometimes you don't get called on, asked to share. Sometimes the girl doesn't look at you. Sometimes it's just, no, you don't get any attention. You just sit in the hard, cold chair on the linoleum floor, and that's it. And you put another brick in the wall, and you know, and it just works that way. But I learned that from my first year, to just go. You know, just go no matter what, no matter how you're feeling. And it saved my life, because from that little thing of discipline, that one thing, I can do everything. If I can do that one thing, I can do all the other things. I can work the steps. I can work with others. I can clear away the wreckage of my past and be free and find a spiritual life. But I have to do one simple thing first, is show up to meetings. That's just the way it's worked for me. And about the time Patrick died, I was working in, sometime in that year, that long year where we shared with them, I was up in Palos Verdes working in that El Nino storm. And this is what he's given me. He's given me another perspective in life. It was like 10 o'clock at night. These really rich people were insisting I fix their telephone in the pouring rain and the mud. I was covered in mud, and I climbed through the mud and the rain into their backyard, and I'm climbing the pole. I could look in, and they're all huddled around their DVD and their surround sound and their fireplace. And I'm up on the pole, and I'm shivering like a little dog, and the wires are shocking my hands. I'm like, am I a loser or what, you know? These rich people are insisting me in the dark in El Nino to fix their phone. And I'm up on top of the pole in Palos Verdes. But all of a sudden, the clouds broke, and it was just the most beautiful night I'd ever seen in my life. And I looked up in the sky and I saw all the stars in the night, and I thought, that's what I have. I thought, that's what I have. I don't have what they have, but you know what AA and my different perspective on life has given me? I know I have all the stars in the night. You know, that's what I get because I came here and I watched Patrick, and I get to enjoy life and appreciate every sober moment is special. You know, but I wouldn't get that at home with the VCR. We don't watch TV anymore. You know, when we went through Patrick dying, and one night he talked to me about his little boy, and I went home and the VCR got unplugged and got thrown in the trash, and we don't watch it anymore. Life's too short. I learned from AA I have to do things differently. You know, I have to get up a little earlier so I can pray and meditate and start my day right. If I want to change things, I have to turn the television set off. I have to reach out to newcomers. I have to, if I want my life to change and my spirit to change, I have to do things differently. So I just learned that from coming here, though. This is not any special, wonderful knowledge that I have. It's just special, wonderful things I hear from guys like Jay and people like you, who I'm honored to share the same room with, by the way. Thank you for having me here. I know you feel short-cheated because I'm not that Clancy, but you know, I always do the best I can. I also love Gordon. I think what if my father, Seamus, he drank himself off the radio. I used to go down to Skid Row and feed him soup while he was watching the show on the wall, the delirium tremors and the rats and Skid Row in San Diego, and it just broke my heart as a little boy. But before he died, I was able to tell him that I was sober in AA, and I said, hey, Dad, you know what? All those sober dances they have up in LA, I get to DJ them, you know, for those sober kids. For a while in sobriety, I was the DJ mobile disc jockey. It's like in the entertainment scale, the mobile disc jockey in Los Angeles is just above a mime. Actually, mimes make fun of me because I have to carry all that equipment. They're like, look at you. You think, you know, getting up there at those weddings with those turntables, man, it wasn't like being a rock star on KLOS or on the air. But you know what? AA taught me, you want to do something? Take some action and just do it. So I went to the bank and got a loan because I just got a divorce and I didn't have any money, and I borrowed the money and bought DJ equipment and had little cards made up called Weasel Rock. And people actually hired me with the Weasel Rock. We have Weasel Rock at our wedding. It was like that. It was just, you know what? People started hiring me for sober dances, and I never had more fun in my life. And I was just blessed because they said, you can just do it, Clancy, you know, just get out there and play the records. And I never had more fun. I DJ'd a Icky Pa convention up in San Francisco where my father DJ'd, and it was the biggest room of sober people, young people in AA I've ever seen. And they let me start off the dance. That was a few years ago. They said, let's let the old guy start the dance, you know. Played like that Respect and Brick House. And you know what? You could have floated me off because I was sober. And that moment I'll always remember. Just like I'll always remember the moment that you were born, that all these sober moments in time are just shining and so precious to me because I'm wide awake, because I don't take anything. You know, I don't have any buffers on. I don't have any Prozac. I don't have any Ritalin, Darvon, Percocet. I don't have any booze. I don't have any drugs or alcohol or smoke or nicotine or anything in my system. So these things are so exciting to me, and I get so excited because I'm wide awake for life. The blinders are off. You know, we're sensitive people, and when we're sober and we can find a way to live with that, it's a wonderful life. It's scary sometimes, but it's electric and it's alive, you know. I've never felt more alive and had more fun in my life than in Alcoholics Anonymous. And I have never felt like there's anything that I couldn't do. I covered the bicycle, on a bicycle trip the entire coast from Vancouver, Canada to San Francisco on a bicycle in sobriety. I learned some great lessons. Riding up in the rain in Seattle, we recently went on the train to Seattle, and I said, Dad rode his bike right down the coast there. I said, farmers were throwing rocks at me and dogs were chasing me. I was, true, I was just covered with hefty bags. It's about 2 years sober when you feel like you can do anything, you know. And I was like, I can do anything. Had my big book, and I tell you, I was getting my ass kicked on some hills, just climbing for hours and hours up in those mountains. And I met a couple guys. If you ever saw the movie Slapshot, they look like the Hanson brothers, the hockey players with the long hair, and they had this real thug look. And I met them at a gas station, and they said to me, I said, these hills are kicking my ass. I just don't know if I can make it. They said, they almost in unison, they looked at me and they said, we like the hills. We like the climbing part. And they just kind of nodded, and they rode off on their beat-up Schwinn varsity bikes. And it was a spiritual awakening for me because I learned that you have to enjoy the hills. You have to stand up in the pedals and enjoy the whole trip, or you're not going to enjoy any of it, because it takes hours and hours and hours to get to the top, and it takes 5 minutes to get down. It's like, and that's like life. It's like the sober dance, the girl you meet, then it's like Al-Anon therapy, marriage counseling. You know, it's like the fun part and then the hard part. The hard part, you know, you got to enjoy it all. You got to enjoy it all. And I try to live in the moment, and every day is special. When I wake up, it's like a little birth, and at night it's like a little death, and in the day is all I have is that universe. And what I make of it is so important to me. You know, everything I do, if I give it attention, if I live, like Andy said, one day at a time, and pay attention to my life, it makes it special. But I learned that here, that if I do a job, I try to do it where I'll sign my name to it. Guys kid me at work because I'll put my name on jobs that I do, and I go, I'm just proud of it. I go, nothing is like menial to me. If they ask me to sweep a floor, I'd like to do it the same way and give it that attention and sweep it and make it shine and get all the corners, because if I sweep it and I'm all lazy and I miss the corners, that's the corner where God lives, where I missed. You know, I like to pay it. God lives in the details. If I pay attention and I'm wide awake, it makes for a wonderful life. And I learned that here. I learned that in AA. I have taken a lot of chances in sobriety because I do feel like I can do anything. I have Met when I was in the South Bay. I still am. I lived in Hermosa, though. I was a video addict in early sobriety. I would rent stacks and stacks of videos. I'm one of those nerds who's seen every movie ever made. Italian, lurid, kung fu, subtitled. Jay knows. I have seen every movie ever made because I went to this store. A lot of you know Video Archives, where Quentin Tarantino worked. I would go there. We would talk about movies constantly. He never met anyone who had seen stuff that he hadn't seen. And we had a rapport and kind of a friendship for a while until he's big. I was able to DJ the Reservoir Dogs party when the video came out. That was about as much on the Quentin totem pole as I got. After Pulp Fiction, I haven't seen him, and he doesn't return my calls. But you know what? Out of that, I wrote short stories, and I started a little zine, and I called it Pulp, a Fiction magazine. In the first issue, I won an award for one of my short stories. It's got an honorable mention in Year's Best Fantasy and Horror. I took Megan into Borders to show her. It's just my name in the back of the book on an honorable mention, but I was like Steve Martin in The Jerk when his name was in the phone book. I was like, look, I'm in a book. My name's in a book. I was so proud of it. I bought the book and told the cashier at Borders, I go, look, I'm in this book. You know, but it's like these moments, like I don't have to be the big rock star, or, you know, I kid the new guys. I said, I think, you know, your mom thought you were going to be a rock star or a movie director or a lawyer or some big time dude. But guess what? You're a newcomer in Alcoholics Anonymous. Welcome to linoleum floors and folding chairs. And then I tell them, now you can do anything you want. Now you can, if you can stop drinking one day at a time. Because I did. You know, I mean, like I said, I wasn't on the radio as a DJ, but I did it. I've written screenplays. Nobody will make them, but people think you have to have some kind of special thing. I go, no, you have to have a yellow legal pad and maybe a number 2 pencil. They go, I need this WordPerfect computer program, and I go, no, you don't. You need about 79 cents. And the library will give you a format to write a script for free, and you can write whatever you want to write. Nobody's going to hand you anything. You know, nobody's handed me anything. I published my own magazine for a couple years. I had about 200 subscribers, and it was a lot of fun. And I recently wrote a novel, my second novel that I can't get published, but I do have an agent, and some wacko lady in Florida is my agent. She doesn't return my calls either. I may be a big loser, but I think I'm having more fun than anyone on the planet, because I don't listen to people who tell me that I can't do stuff. You know, I'm just like, really, I can't do that? Well, we'll see. You know, because I learned in AA, you know, that I can do anything. I'm sober. I'm the sober man. I can do anything. I'm not afraid. I am like my brother Ramrod, except sober. You know, and I'm like a living amends to that family, you know. My sister Casey was in a car crash with me. She got sober, and she is having some problems now, but she managed to get her master's degree, and she was the biggest burnout hippie chick in Mission Beach in San Diego, LSD and mushrooms and psychedelic. She recently got her master's degree. She's a psychotherapist, and she's helping homeless black people in downtown San Francisco, and she's had a wonderful life because of the fellowship. We find redemption here for our squalid, sordid, little drunken lives. What happened used to me, I used to wake up behind bars with my pants wet. That was what happened to me. You know, I can say embarrassing things like that because I'm not here to look good anymore. I'm here to just save my life. You know, I'm here to share with you that I have a noble, splendid, wonderful life here in AA. And that I don't have to live in that kind of squalor anymore, because I decided to check in here and share my life. It just makes so much sense to me not to do it alone. I tell guys, well, you can go home and do it all alone, or you can come out and share your life with us. And it just makes common sense. You know, why do it alone? You know, I get to see Jay start his go from nothing and start his mogul coffee chain. I see nothing but, you know, wonderful things happen that inspire me, these men, because Jay's right ahead of me, and I saw him not be afraid to do anything. And That's what makes me. But what I try to do now is the freedom, like I say, comes from discipline, and I have a simple philosophy and a way of life outlined in the big book that there's such a power in that I always know what to do. It's all laid out for me. I have to be able to look at my boss and look him in the eyes because I have to live right. I have to not steal. I have to make amends when I make a mistake. I'm just human, but it's about living right. It's not a program for me, it's a way of life. You know, that if I'm living right, there's such a strength in that. There's a movie called The Fountainhead from the book by Ayn Rand where he has that simple philosophy. He's the architect and he builds the big buildings in New York, but nobody likes his architecture. And instead of compromising, he goes and works in the quarry because he believes in his vision, because he knows what's right and he knows what to do, and he doesn't care about building all those big buildings for the money. To be near stone, he works in a rock quarry, and because he has a vision, and AA has given me a vision. There's no confusion in my life because I always know what to do to help the alcoholic who still suffers. It's given me such a focus and a clarity in my life. You know, I feel like the focus that a sniper would get because I have that one singleness of purpose that I always know what to do to stay sober and to help the alcoholic who still suffers, and that's it, and live right. And then I'm not afraid because it's just a simple philosophy. I always know what to do. There's no confusion here anymore. There's no, should I lie to her so she'll go out with me so she'll... No, I just don't lie. Stay single. You know, should I take this packet of screws from work? Should I switch theaters because I paid to see one and this one? Should I do that? No, I shouldn't. I should go out and I should pay again. As corny as that sounds, other people in AA make fun of me for saying things like that. I say you're never going to get the vision and the power of the program unless you live like that, because you have to become somewhat the righteous man, the righteous, sober man. Like I have to be able to come up here when you ask me to the podium and tell you about my sobriety. If I'm hedging, I can't speak like this. I can't. I have to live right because I have to look you in the eye and say, I am the sober man and I live right. Somebody has to do it. Somebody has to be the stand-up guy. I tell these guys, I said, you all think you're gangsters and good fellas and tough guys. You know, the toughest thing I've ever seen a man do is live a sober life and be the good father to his little girl and a good husband to his wife and a good friend to his friends. That is the real man. Not that guy who goes and gets in a drunken fight and gets punched in the face. I mean, any fool can do that. That's not a tough guy. A tough man is a man who lives right, a woman who lives and takes care of her children and does the right thing. You know, that's where the strength comes. Like I say, my brother would be proud of me now that I just live right and do the right thing. Because like I say, all those wonderful things that have happened to me, I wrote a book called Irish Vampire Killers. No one's ever going to publish it. It's a story about a guy named Seamus, his daughter Emer. Emer is the first Queen of Ireland, and it's about an alcoholic and his daughter. And they're hypersensitive to the point of being psychic. I had so much fun writing it that I don't care if it ever gets published. I don't care. I'm going to publish it myself. Jay saw it. I have the cover and everything. I tell you what happened with Pulp of Fiction magazine. Pasadena College called me because they saw me in Writer's Market, and they said, you want to come and speak about your magazine at Pasadena College? I said, I think you're thinking of some other Clancy, you know. And so I go up there and I have a cardboard box full of, these magazines are zines. They're like foldovers. You could make them at home on your Macintosh computer. You could do this. You just print it up, the stories, and you fold it over and staple it, and you got it. That's it. And mail them out, advertise, people will buy it. And they had me on a panel of big publishers, Cigar Aficionado, Shape, Health Magazine, these coffee table books, and I was at the very end with my box of paper magazines, right? And these publishers are giving these really big presentations, you know, and it comes down to me and I'm kind of like really self-demeaning and like, yeah, I was embarrassed. I pulled the magazine out and it got a big laugh. I'm like, yeah, this is it. It's fiction. I publish people's short stories. And I gave my pitch, and you know what? afterwards, it was like a big stadium forum. They all poured down and talked to me, and I sold out all my magazines because they weren't interested in the coffee and the cigar aficionado. They all wanted to publish fiction, so they all came and talked to me, and I said, "What a wonderful thing has happened to me," you know. I got to speak about writing at Pasadena College because I just believe that I can do whatever, you know, and I know, and any one of us can grasp that idea, you know, and whatever you want to do, go to the bank and borrow money. You want to write a screenplay, 79 cents and a yellow legal pad. Whatever you want to do, you can do it. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't, because if you're sober, there's a spiritual power and there's a spiritual strength, and it's a wonderful life. But all that stuff is just crap compared to being a sober man for my little girl and having that kind of life. If it was that easy, the Coliseum would be filled with people. You know, if it was that easy, rock stars and Robert Downey Jr. wouldn't be in the can. There's some special thing, that leap of faith, that belief that I've seen. I get to see miracles all the time. I sponsor 2 heroin methadone addicts who are now, one's in the Navy, and he called me from the Navy with tears in his eyes and just thanked me for giving him a second chance. And I thought I might have missed that this young man, he has a life now, and he's thanking me. And I don't take any credit because he saved me, you know. And another couple of them, I have jobs. 6 months ago, they were shooting dope, and now they're upstanding members of the community. I've seen a lot of things. I grew up in the 60s. You know, I was selling papers in San Francisco. I'd sell the Free Press down there, and we used to mark the 25% off and put $3, and the tourists would buy them in San Francisco. It was a lot of fun. I was there, 1969, San Francisco, 14 years old, hair down to here. I lived in a group called Synanon for drug addicts in Santa Monica, the Synanon House. A lot of you older folks, I'm aging myself, might remember that Synanon. Chuck Diedrich's group. When I was a teenager, my stepfather threw me out. And I had to move in there. He was an ex-AA guy. Synanon folded because it was run by Chuck, one guy, and he went crazy. And that's why here it's God and the group conscience. And we all have to be diligent about that. So, you know, no one's in charge here. If you got 1 day, 1 week, 6 months, 2 years, you're in charge. You got 1 day sober, you have as much say in here as anybody, because God works through you. And if you see anything that you think's a little, you know, some guy's starting his own cult in here, call him on it, you know, because I've seen a lot of things, but I've never seen anything so wonderful as this. I never have seen anything more wonderful than AA. I'll finish off with my little mini movie pitch. Because I've seen all these movies. My 4th step was like Robert De Niro in The Mission, where he had to carry his armor up to the top of the waterfall. He was a soldier and a warrior, and he'd kill people, and he wanted to be a Jesuit priest. And for his penance, he carried his armor up the waterfall, and at the top, they cut the rope that held his armor, and he dropped it, and he was a free man, and that's the inventory. I don't carry around that armor anymore. I'm free. And also, before I got here, my life was like Bill Murray in Groundhog's Day. The exact same thing happened every day. I Got You, Babe would come on the radio by Sonny and Cher, and the same thing happened. I would, you know, drink so I could go to work, so I could drink, so I could go to work, so I could drink, so I could go to work, and get my ass kicked in some bar, and nothing changed until I changed. And in that movie, he started doing things different. He finally gave up. He tried everything, and then he said, you know what? I'm just going to surrender and start helping people. And he started helping the old ladies with the flat tire, and he helped people. His life changed. He got the girl. He lived happily ever after. Just like, you know, just like we do here. When we decide to change our actions, you know, it's just like a wonderful, wonderful perspective I've seen. I recently read a book called Holy Clues, and it's about how the perspective of 1 day at a time, how Arthur Conan Doyle through his character Sherlock Holmes, how he saw things that other people didn't see. And I think that we're like it because we pay attention to the details because we're sober. And sober life becomes sacred because we see what's in front of us, and that's how Sherlock Holmes sees. He was always like, it's right in front of us, Watson. Why don't you see it? Those are the holy clues that we see now, that things are in front of us because we're sober. And the people in this room aren't trying to be comfortable. They're pursuing a spiritual life. We're trying to find God in here. And that is so exciting that I'm not worried about my internet stock or how much money I have because you know what? It's all going to go away. And you know what? It's all going to come back. But you know what? My soul's going to stay the same. You know, that's all I have. I know from being sober in AA that the material world is an illusion, and it all depends upon my spiritual life. And that's where I get the freedom to walk free. And I've never seen or had such a wonderful thing in my life. You know what? I had so much fun here sharing all this with you, and you're so nice to listen to me. Thank you very much.
Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with. And it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs. Long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst, then one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, out, in, up, down, and then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. I don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right. But I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.